Hey there, Jason Rink again from behind the Silicon Curtain. Still deplatformed. I wanted to say I haven't actually tried to get my accounts reinstated yet. I know that I likely can go through that process, but I just want to tell you a little bit about why I haven't done that yet. So I was deplatformed without any reason given. They just did it, didn't tell me anything. And what I've seen recently is accounts that have gone to these social media companies and they've appealed it and been like, I shouldn't have been deplatformed, here's why. And they get reinstated normally with something like, oh, sorry, it was a mistake. Oh, you weren't supposed to be deplatformed. Some really weak excuse that I think is letting them off easy. It's not a mistake, okay? The reason I was deplatformed wasn't a mistake. It was either done by an individual or it was done by an algorithm. And if it was done by the algorithm, it's designed to produce a particular result. And that particular result is to get rid of people who are speaking a certain message or are affiliated with certain individuals or certain messaging out there. So I'm actually intending on staying deplatformed for a little while. I know that I have a period of time at which I can appeal it, and I plan to appeal it before that time elapses. So just wanted to mention that I'm actually intentionally remaining deplatformed right now. I don't know that they'll reinstate me. I have a thought that I can. I've had people offer, hey, we could probably get you put back on there. I'm just not ready to go back on there right now because I actually want to talk about this for a little bit. I want to live in the experience of not being able to access Twitter, Facebook, these other platforms, just really see kind of how it impacts me, frankly. And one thing I've noticed is that just the ability to go out there and spout off the jokes. I worked a lot of my comic material on those platforms, and that's really for my own entertainment, frankly. But being able to go out there and talk about the things I talked about on social media, I think most people recognize I was not somebody who was ever inflammatory. I genuinely tried to be respectful. I have a lot of friends and followers that disagree with me on issues. I know I'm certain people have defriended me or defollowed me along the way, but I think most people agree that I'm the contribution that I would make to social media was valuable or was totally acceptable. And so that's something that I just recognize. I do want to say I got a text message from a friend who is currently in the middle of some things, is deplatformed. Anyway, and that friend advised me, he said, hey, listen, look, you probably should take your name off of some of the projects that you're working on right now, because there's going to be a concerted effort to try to marginalize, demonize, and attack anybody who's been involved. And my involvement in some of these projects is as making a movie, making a film about it. All right. So, and frankly, the people that I was making a film about, as I've gone through the last 8 to 10 weeks, I've come to agree with these people on a number of things. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have an opinion that might, I don't toe the CNN, mainstream media line in my coverage of this. I haven't sworn allegiance to the proper narrative in my covering of this film. No, that's not what I've done. What I've said is I'm going out there to see what the story is. I'm doing the research on my own, and I'm coming to some conclusions. And frankly, the more I see the demonization and attacking, and frankly, the lies being written about some of these people, the more I tend to believe that they're right on this. And so that's really all it's done, is it's strengthening my resolve, frankly. Um, but this individual told me, was trying to give me some friendly advice, like, hey, there's no shame in removing yourself from some of these things. In fact, you might think about doing it if you want to continue to work with clients, if you want to continue to work in the industry you're in. It could really impact some things that you want to do. And I've actually taken that advice to a certain level, but not entirely. I've taken a couple of precautions, frankly, because one of the projects that I'm working on right now has the potential to reach a massive global audience based on conversations that we're in right now, and impact the life and outcome of a certain individual's life and freedom. And that project is so important to me right now because of what's at stake, that I don't want my affiliation with another project to jeopardize that potential reach, the ability to potentially be involved in producing and communicating a counter narrative, and in fact, a truthful narrative about this individual. And so I'm a little torn on that, The other thing is that I'm trying to figure out how to continue to go about speaking about some of these things, because I'm going to take a little shift here. I was a pastor once upon a time, still a Christian, still a follower of Christ, and that's still very important to me, and still something I strive to live according to, and what we've seen over the last year has been the move of many, many faith communities and churches to online, and the gathering together of those communities has been totally, done away with. Like in some cases, I know churches have lost their buildings, not been able to continue to pay that overhead, and gathering spaces, and still there's regulations around some of those gatherings, or church attendance in person is possibly down. I don't have all the details. I assume it's down. I assume a lot of people have moved these things online. I think a lot of people have been trained now over the year to be online. And I just want to speak to faith leaders right now and Christians right now and say, listen, you're out of your freaking mind if you think that the deplatforming that's happening around some of the ideas, some of the political ideas or positions that you're seeing the deplatforming around, if you don't think that is going to come for some of what our culture and society would deem are the radical ideas of the churches, believers, and Christ followers in this country, I just want to tell you, you need to open your eyes, because most of these churches, you're not set up on any alternative platforms. You have no reach beyond these social media platforms, and frankly, most churches are pretty. I know you guys have learned how to use Zoom now, and that's great, but most churches are like years behind in technology, knowing how to use it effectively, how to grow audience, how to retain people, like how to use online marketing to get your message out there. And my point is right now you've got a couple of points of failure that can disconnect you from the global audiences or congregations or whoever it is that's currently participating in your online gatherings. And so, and I think this is something that's perhaps escaping people, but I would have the church recognize that throughout history, it's been Christians and religious people, not just Christians, that the state has come for. And I think there's enough evidence to indicate that can happen and is happening. At least the culture is shifting in such a way that many of the ideas that Christians, particularly, I hold Christian beliefs, okay, so I'll speak to that, I just think you've got your eyes closed if you don't realize that this is a potential problem for you. So I want to say that. I think more Christians should care about this particular issue of deplatforming and how it might impact what they're looking to do and how they're looking to impact the world. The other thing I want to say is, when I got involved in this project, I said, like, hey, my income is less dependent on, or it's less at risk, because many of the clients I work with, I don't think they're going to just like fire me and not work with me. There are many clients that won't. There are many clients that I won't be able to get moving forward. And it's fine. I actually want to get with and work with clients that are interested in working with me, are interested in what I do and what my team can do, and are also on my side on this issue, or also see some of the problems that I see and are like, yeah, I agree. So those are the kind of people I'm looking to connect with. And I'm going to take this opportunity to say, hey, listen, if you are looking for, I have a video production company, and we do a lot of high-end video production work, and we do a lot of work in digital marketing as well. And so, reach out to me. jasonrink.com is my website. And, if you need help or need work, or you have work that needs to be done, reach out to us. And I've got a couple of businesses that I will funnel that work to. It's not dependent on me. I'm out here making a movie right now, and handling some of my really key clients right now that I work really closely with. But I have team members who will handle these other types of projects. What I want to say is that for the most part, like, I'm not that worried about it. I'm not afraid of being targeted, smeared, like guilt by association, people digging into my past, things that I've said before, and be like, well, this guy's whatever. Number one, I think I have enough people who would defend me in that. Now, I could be wrong about that. Like, I recognize that people now are putting themselves at risk to share anything that I would have to say because they don't want to get deplatformed. And that's fine. Like, I get it. I wouldn't have anybody do that. But I'm really not that worried about it. And, but I am taking some precautions around it right now. And I do think that the hammer is going to drop, around trying to spin media narratives potentially around people like myself or people that are close to me, to try to create a narrative that is unsavory. So I'll say that. One last quick update. I'm working on the documentary on Jake Angeli, or Jake Angeli. He's got multiple names, and I call him just Jake or Buffalo Man. Jake's, I was here in Arizona and was on speakerphone with the first call that he made from jail, and talked to a dozen people here, character witnesses, perhaps, like interviewing people who knew him, were around him. And I can tell you that, like, when I was on the phone with him listening, I was really, really moved and troubled by it. Number one, it confirmed a lot of things that I believe to be true about him, and that were echoed by people who have talked about him, who have said, this guy's the opposite of violent. This guy was always trying to keep peace when trouble arose, is always centered, never really saw him get angry. Whenever I saw him get angry, it was like righteous anger, because he's involved in like Save the Children movements. Like he's been very involved in like trying to expose sex trafficking of minors here in Arizona. He worked in a group home with kids for a number of years, and you know, and I'm not trying to be like here, like, you know, he's some saint or whatever. Like he's a human being, you know, out there in the world, but like we can't find anybody who's got an ill word to say about him. We got people who are like, I don't believe some of the things he believes, but they're like, some of the things he believes, I do believe. Like, he's right on. But what they would say is that he cares about his community, he cares about his country, he cares about the families here. He cares about righteousness, he cares about light. And there's a lot of evidence that he walked through an open door, was potentially let in to the Capitol. Some people busted their way in, but there were other places where people were simply allowed to come in. And that's the story he has, and we don't have any video footage right now or evidence to the contrary. And so I just want to let you know, like, this is a really important project that I'm working on. It started out as kind of a like funny anomaly. You know, hey, here's this guy who's a meme. You know, maybe let's make a movie about him. And it's really turning out to be a lot more than that. And so anyway, that's my update right now. I don't know how frequently I'm going to do these. You know, I'm doing them right now. We'll see how much I continue to do them. But appreciate you watching and, you know, listening, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I don't know how long it's going to be there. I'm looking for other platforms to put this on. You know, everything's so janky right now that isn't the major platform. So I have like no patience for that. But I do have alternative accounts on Gab. You can find me there. I'm on Telegram. I'm on Signal. Just my name, Jason Rink. You'll find it everywhere there. And anyway, hope you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.